First of all, Bosnia and Herzegovina is not a poor country. It's an upper middle income country, and I think this is important to remember. You are really not among the worst countries in the world, far from it. Just because you are in Europe, sometimes it might feel that you're much worse off than you are. But remember that you are an upper middle income country and you can do so much. So it's all about what you prioritize and what you focus on. So with this focus you can achieve a lot and you can do it in short time. And you have all the support from the European Union, from the European Commission with its experts, both in terms of money, also bilaterally from countries like Sweden. But you can also take loans from the World Bank and IMF. So I think it's all about focus and making those final steps to achieve what you want to do, but you're not so far away from it as you think. There are many of the innovations that have been made in Sweden that could be used in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think that something is innovative doesn't necessarily mean that it's expensive. And especially now, these days, a lot of innovations are being made in the field of environment protection and to make sure that the climate crisis is handled, and I think a lot of those can be used here. There are also innovations from other countries in terms of solar panels and other issues that most people are aware of that I think can be really useful. I think some people are a little bit too negative about developments in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It depends when you start looking at what has happened. If you start from the war, obviously a lot of things have happened and a lot of progress has been made, and I don't think we should forget that. But right now, much more needs to be done. The last year, progress has been way too slow, and if you look at EU integration, some positive steps have been made. In particular, holding elections in Mostar, of course, was a great achievement. But so much more remains to be done, and there should be a sense of urgency that now is the time to start doing proper reforms. So I would really urge everybody who has the possibility to do that to start working much harder. The BiH 2030 Plus is a countrywide strategy and action plan when it comes to environment, and this is hugely important because it will help the country to work as one, and it will also give access to EU funds to help implement the reforms that are necessary. And a lot of people are not aware, but actually 2/3 of the legislation that a country has to adopt to become a member of the EU is related to environment. So this project cannot be underestimated in how important it is. It started in 2019 and it will be finished next year. Air pollution is, as we know by now, an enormous problem in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's actually killing people, and this it affects the health and then the life of everybody living in this country, especially in the bigger cities and especially in winter time. So there's no excuse not to start doing whatever is possible. And it doesn't have to be expensive always. It's also about choices that we can all make in our life. And everybody has a role to play. Everybody from politicians, private sector, industry, to private citizens. We can all make choices in our daily lives. If we walk to work, if we take the car, what kind of fuel we are using for our houses, but also which politicians we're voting for. The ones who really want to make change and to put pressure on them to actually make the changes that are needed to get clean air for everybody. Healthy environment, of course, is something that should be a human right. It's something that we all need to live and have a life at the level that we would like to have. But in many countries we see this is not the case. And Bosnia and Herzegovina, I would say, is a country that has a lot of problems when it comes to environment. Not only the air, but also water. And we see also that the soil has been polluted in some places. So much needs to be done in terms of reforms and everybody working together. And I think also civil society should engage and do the things that can be done, and put pressure on politicians and demand change to have an environment that is clean and healthy. When it comes to rights and obligations related to environment, I think this is something that is well known in Sweden. People really do tend to feel an obligation to take care of environment. We know it's there for all of us, and I think the legislation that we have that gives everybody access to nature everywhere, irrespectively if the piece of land, forest, lake, whatever it is privately owned. Everybody has the right to walk across it, to pick berries, to pick mushrooms and to enjoy it. But you also have an obligation not to litter, not to leave anything behind, and not to harm nature when you're there. And this is something you learn as a child, and it's very important. So of course this is also then enforced by legislations and rules. But I think this is a very simple example of the rights and the obligations that we all need to do our part, but this means that we also can have access to things that we wouldn't have otherwise. Nature belongs to all of us. In Sweden there's really a culture of using your bicycle and walking to work, or when you want to get around in the cities. But this is also because it's possible. There are biking lanes and there are pavements for those who want to do that. But also, if you don't want to take your car and still be environmentally friendly, there are good buses and subways. So I think this is what is needed. But all this is not coming from only the politicians waking up one morning deciding it should be like this. It's really something that people demand and something that people are asking for. So I think it's about a shift in your mind to realize that it's not only good for the environment, but it's good for your own health to move instead of sitting in a car. So it's a win-win. You get less pollution, it's good for your health, and you also get some exercise, which is also good for your health. Yes, fortunately I did have time to visit your beautiful country. Because of COVID, a little bit less than I would have liked to, but I've still had the opportunity to see so many things, and I'm a nature lover. I go skiing in winter and hiking in summer and swimming in the lakes, by the way. So to me it's really paradise to be in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think it's an amazingly beautiful country, but you also have a lot of beautiful architecture, history, so it's an extremely fascinating country to travel around in. And of course, lovely people and good food and coffee. So I think this is really a pearl that a lot of people should have the opportunity to discover the way that I am. So I hope that tourism will be developed in this country. Definitely, I think what I would recommend is really this combination of nature, to explore the mountains and the beauty both in winter and summer, but also to visit the big cities, to see this amazing crossroads of cultures that Bosnia and Herzegovina has been for such a long time. And to learn about this part of our common European history, that I think is the fantastic combination with this country.